pirate. The other is crazy. So you better warp to the safe spot!
Welcome back, Capsuleer, let's go!
Warp to the safe spot! Warp to the safe spot!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Safe Spot with your host, Rixx Javix, and my good friend,
CrazyKinux.
I'd say we're good friends at this point, don't you think? Known each other for almost 20 years.
I know. Crazy. Yeah, no, absolutely. My buddy Rixx, episode 4. This is, is this episode 4 or 5?
This is 5, believe it or not, 5 episodes in.
We're getting into the realm of, I've lost track already,
We should almost be professionals at this point.
Except I can't count past 4, it seems. So what have you been up to?
The 4th episode just came out today. Tonight we're recording number 5, which will be out 2 weeks now, or 2 weeks ago when you guys are listening to this. What have I been up to? I'll tell you, man, I have been having a blast. I don't know what it is, but the last few weeks of Eve have just been nut crazy. And I told my wife today, I think it's because I figured out on how to record on my videos. Yeah, within the game, I was totally against this for the longest time. I never recorded any videos of myself flying or fighting or any of that. I recorded tons of videos for YouTube videos and things. Every once in a while, I would do something special, like the time I blew up a Phoenix Navy and Shadow Cartel hot dropped it and blew it up with a Titan. A few fights here and there. Even way back in the day, back in 2009, Nash Cadaver and I fought a 1v1. I was in a Drake and he was in a Merm. That was one of the first PvP videos that I posted. But lately I've been creating shorts and recording a lot of video. Sometimes the best fight, and I wouldn't have a video afterwards, and I could not figure out why. It wasn't recording. It wasn't capturing. And then the other day, I discovered that it was secretly putting these videos onto my internal hard drive, deep, 12 folders deep into a preference folder in the library.
Wow.
And there they all were. There was like 12 of them there.
That you hadn't couldn't
know I
find.
had. Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah, it's the mystery has been solved. And
So did you have some old stuff in there?
Yeah.
Like old videos?
Some old stuff. Yeah, old videos. Yeah. Some of them I kept, some of them I threw away.
Because I've seen some of your shorts on YouTube where you explain what you're doing, and there was one in particular where you showed where you lost a fight. And I can't remember the details, but I do remember that it felt as if I was being given a glimpse into something that I've yet dabbled into. And I'm not that I'm scared of PvP or anything, but it's just I want to get there at my own pace. And but anyways, it was really interesting to see that. And that video is really, you've got some like very eerie, scary music, playing.
I love the music.
Yeah, no, it's really, those are really good. So you've got, I guess, I don't know how many videos you've found in that hidden stash of yours deep down in your hard drive, but you've got a few in the queue for us.
Shorts lined up all the way through the weekend. It's awesome. It just made me happy. And now I have it all figured out and I can make it work every time I want it to. I've got a system set up now. And whenever I'm getting into a situation where I think there might be the potential for a fight, I'm recording it. Sometimes those don't happen. I sat on the gate today for like
anything. Yeah,
it doesn't. Nothing happens. Yeah, so I just trash those. But it just makes me feel good. But in the game itself, it's just been a lot of really good fights lately. Just really extraordinary opportunities. Some unusual things, like, kind of stuff you haven't seen in a while. It's just been really great, and that's made me feel really good.
Yeah, and I bet there's a lot of insight, a lot of things that new and old players could learn from, things that you've done to win fights, mistakes that you've made to lose, things that you wished you, looking at the video again, knowing how it ends, things that you would have done differently. So are you thinking of not only pushing out these shorts, but maybe doing like tutorials? Even short tutorials are helpful.
I'm thinking about it. I don't know. I have a sort of a torn thing about it because I do like the idea of teaching and helping people. As a matter of fact, right before we got on, I spent a few minutes on our Discord because the video I had posted today, there was a player who was confused about what the heck was going on. I won't mention their name, but I took time out to explain what had happened in the short that I posted today. And they were very appreciative of it because they didn't understand what was going on. And I do like that. And so I am thinking about it. But on the other hand, I don't want it to get in the way of gameplay, right? So I have a sense of sacredness about the gameplay that's happening. And I don't want to put any corp mates at risk or anything just to, generate some kind of a video for content,
Right. So these would be things where you'd be alone doing it.
Maybe I don't know. So I'm thinking about it. I do want to do some videos with UI overlays and things that show people how to take care of or how to manage their bookmarks, for example, things like that. So I probably will end up doing some, or what I might do is just record a whole session and then go back and cut it up and then voice over it and make some. This is a whole 2 hours of me playing Eve.
That would probably, that would be much more easier to sort of digest, and it's great content. On my end,
I do like the shorts, though. I do like the shorts. Be happy about them, and I like that they show people the actual fight and how I manage the mods and how different kinds of ships can take on different kinds of ships, and maybe inspire people that way too.
Absolutely, and some of the wisdom that comes out of those videos. What was that saying about PvP? And it always depends on, it's that moment where you do decide to go in, and sometimes you can be a veteran player against someone who's a lot less experienced with an Eve. You called it something like the moment of, I can't recall exactly what those words were, but the approach that you have when you go in or when you decide to pull out, type of thing.
I don't know.
I'll have to.
I'm sure whatever it was very wise.
It was.
Windows of engagement. Were we talking about windows of engagement? Or,
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was that moment where step in and things are about to become interesting.
Yeah, but you never know for sure. I saw an apocalypse ratting in a belt the other day, a couple systems over. Well, actually, I didn't see it. One of my core mates saw it. The two of us online at the time, we debated for a brief moment whether that was bait, because it's so obviously stupid to do. To take a battleship into a belt and rat in low sec, right? 2 jumps away from Stay Frosty State home. And yet there he was. And so this must be bait. This must be a Sino getting ready to pop as soon as. So we're debating what ships to bring because you don't want to risk your really good ships in a situation like that. Yeah, it's funny because you just, even as experienced as you get, you still in the back of your mind, this can't be right.
Yeah, this is too easy.
This is too easy. Something bad's going to happen. It's so Eve.
Well, on my end, let me tell you, I haven't been doing anything as fun as you have. For the last 2 weeks, I think, since we last recorded, I've been using my Synusis to gather up some of the content that I've got, some of the assets that I've got spread out in a bunch of systems. Most of them, I would say, between 10 and 15 jumps away. There's one actually, and is it Agile or Agile?
Agile.
AGIL. Yeah, that one's like 50 some jump away, and so I'm leaving all that over there, and the Synusis wouldn't have enough cargo to bring everything, especially now with the new update, the Catalyst major update. I think this is what they've called it.
Yes.
That was released last week, which basically completely nerfed my new favorite ship. Yeah, so it went from something that I could use to go everywhere get some of the content. It had an almost like a 1,200 square meters or close to cargo hold. Now it was brought down by almost like a third to 800 and some. And then the align time, which was under 2 seconds, like 1.75 seconds, if I recall, is now 2.5. So it's above that 2 second mark, which much easier to catch. And
you got patch noted. Your entire game style got destroyed by CCP.
Oh yeah. I'm not gonna rage quit though.
No,
I'm going to adapt.
Are you gonna post a CCP please post on Reddit?
No, I won't. I've actually posted something earlier. Well, not today, but yesterday on. I've got a couple of those ships, so I need to sort of find a way to use them. Right. Whether it's for exploration, a bit of combat, I don't really see how, but that's part of the fun of playing Eve is figuring out a new fit, right?
I've been told they're great salvagers. I do not know the answer to that, if they are or not, but that's what I've always been told.
Yeah, well, they've all got the perks for drones instead of like the bonuses and whatnot. I don't have my notes in front of me, but yeah, they've got it's a 25 drone bay, and so I guess you can fit about like what five. Yeah, so we'll see. And during that time, I had actually, no, not during that time, but when that happened, and I was a bit of dumbstruck by it and didn't know what to do. A friend of mine mentioned that I think you just mentioned it earlier, the Hecate.
Yes.
Which is a destroyer.
Tech 3
destroyer has a good align speed, and so I'm currently training for that. I probably have 6 or 7 days left on that level 5. Then there's another skill that I need to train, and I should be able to fly that ship. I haven't fitted anything on it, so there's probably again some training depending on the types of modules that I want to fit in that Tech 3. So while that is being trained, I've actually switched back to my trusty Merlin, doing some missions, and then I'm also looking into what was that ship? There's I did a mission recently with a Griffin, interesting ship, cute little frigate. So yeah, I mean, I'm basically hoarding a bunch of ships, but I need to sort of start to focus because it's as if that dog in up.
So just out of curiosity, why haven't you thought about blockade runners? Says it seems perfect for what you're doing.
Like being one?
Yeah, no, using one in the game. Like the Amar blockade runner is called the Pro Raider. Okay. And the Galenti one is, I can't remember them all. But blockade runners are transport ships that are cloaky. They can cloak, and they zoom pretty fast. And I believe that I know for sure the Impel has a built-in warp core stab. It's not even the module; it's just part of the ship bonus. Hang on a second. Yeah, I mean, I have to look up all the stats. Again, a subject I wasn't prepared to talk about tonight, but that seems like a perfect little ship. I love my Pro Raider, or my alt flies a Pro Raider, and I use it to move faction mods through HiSec.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about that, but I really got a buzz. So the first time that I hopped on and fitted a Sunusis, and I was doing that, there's a bit of a rush when you get into systems where there's been a lot of ships destroyed, or even folks potted. You're sort of saying to yourself, should I risk it or not? What's the count in the last hour? Oh, it's gone down drastically. Let's try it. There's a bit of a rush when you're going through that gate, popping up on the other side, and then getting the hell out. And so I get a kick out of that. So yeah, maybe that's some sort of venture I know that I'm going to quickly get bored with those agent missions. I'm getting there. And funny enough, I don't think they're as polished as they could be. There's some broken links in how you go, and using the same agent, going from this mission, and you do it successfully, and then it asks you to do the next one. there's a gap in the knowledge or there's an expectation of things that you'll need to set up a ship that you'll need to get,
Uh,
and the fitting. I've sort of noticed some of that, and I think that
that's interesting.
yeah, there's room for improvement still, with agents, besides that AI initiative that they have for new
Right,
players.
right.
Just fixing that would be helpful. I mean, I may start to sort of note down which mission it is and where I think the gap is. But what did you find anything on what did you call it? Not mission runners, but the blockade runners. Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't look them up. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, I
But
mean,
they're,
that's okay. That's okay. I mean, I'm going to do that. That's definitely
I think
content
from
for
everything
block.
you've been saying that might be the perfect situation for you. But I don't know. That's what they're
Certainly
for.
something. Yeah, certainly something that I want to explore, and maybe there's a, like when players asks other players, there's a you can do that as a corporation. I think
Oh, right,
um,
right.
you request some stuff to be moved.
Yes.
Forget what the name is.
Opportunities? Is they opportunities or something
Yeah,
like that? Yeah.
something like that. Yeah. But going back to these major updates and I thought, yeah, patches or whatnot. I thought like CCP was doing expansions. Are they still doing expansions, and in
They
between
are.
they do major updates, or
Yes, that's how
does that
it
work
goes.
these days?
Yeah, so Catalyst was this early year expansion,
Okay.
and then in between they usually do something like this. Basically, what they do is they change everything with an expansion, and then about a month later they go, oh, we need to fix these things.
Yeah.
They do that, and then all along the way there'll be small patches. From time to time something comes up, they want to fix something or add something, and then
Yeah, so they bring
but
in a bunch of new stuff, and something breaks along the way, and they
Right.
try to fix it and whatnot. And
Right.
sometimes they nerf ships.
Right.
Yeah.
Or buff them. Sometimes they rarely do that too. But yeah, well, I guess maybe the carriers got kind of a buff this time. But yeah, some ships get, pulled back. People are using them too much, or relying on them. And, a lot of times a single ship will become super, dependable and special in some way. And then, the rest of the ships in that class aren't being used. So they'll try to like push that ship back a little bit so that people will use others. They did that with Redeemers. Everybody was using Redeemers as far as Black Ops go, and some of the other Black Ops ships weren't being used as much, so they try to push Redeemers down a little bit, buff up the others. So now it's Widows in space, basically. I guess from what I've been told, I haven't really looked into that a whole lot. Don't do a lot of Black Ops operations, but
Yeah. I guess if a ship gets used way more than it should, and next ship in line in terms of evolution or tech doesn't, then you've got something that's not balanced. And so
yeah, it needs to be looked at. Yeah, I agree. I think that it's a constantly evolving thing, right? And it certainly doesn't make the other ships in the class worthless. I know there are times when certain ships don't get used at all. You never see them.
and there's
that's
so
sad.
many of them. Like,
And
geez,
there are.
like you can literally spend hours looking at all the ships in that sort of ship tree, and
Oh, it's
looking at the
amazing. Yeah.
info and looking at what they can do and how they can be used. And then you Google this and you search on YouTube, and you find, oh, you could use it for to do this and to do that. It's just it sort of never ends. And I think that is what adds to the magic of a game that has been there for so long, is the complexity of it and the number of layers pile on over the years, where it's never ending.
No, you can be talking on a podcast and somebody bring up something about blockade runners, and you can literally go, I don't remember.
Yeah,
It's a
exactly.
whole class. It's a whole class of ship in Eve that I'm having trouble remembering all the details about. That's pretty amazing.
And you're the vet who stayed in the game all this time, and still,
Right, yeah.
I don't think nobody can, right?
I doubt it. I don't know. Maybe somebody. But yeah, I don't know.
Some weird genius.
Well, especially when you don't use them very often. Don't do a lot of freight hauling.
True. You get to know
True.
the ships that you need to fly.
Right.
You understand their weakness, their advantages over other ships, and what to take when you're faced with a specific opponent. So,
Right.
and that means certain ships you'll never get a chance to fly and to learn.
Right. My alt, who does the freight moving, is locked into a Mar. She's trained totally in a Mar. Can't fly any other class of ship. So when it comes to a freighter or a blockade runner or whatever, I just pick the Amara one because that's what she flies. So I don't know if it's the best one in the class or not. It's good enough for me.
Yeah, and you don't know what it is, what other types of ships within for other races.
Well, if the Minotaur version is better, I wouldn't be able to fly it anyway. So what's the point of me even knowing that?
Yeah,
it would only make me sad.
Oh, and there's a lot of that could. So it's in the game. There's so much where, you can,
sad.
Yeah, make someone who feels who thinks they're knowledgeable about the game, and there's a whole side to it. Like those that are heavily invested in PvP and know nothing about industrialists and playing the markets and whatnot. There's always something new to discover. Speaking of discover, there's something that you mentioned in the last episode as well that got, I was going to say, I don't know if it got nerfed, but some things changed. And in this major update, you mentioned Oshman, and I think it's a region, and it has something to do with the
Triglavians, yes.
Triglavians. So what do you know about that? What can you tell us about what that is?
Well, it's a previous, all the systems in Pochvan, systems that existed in Eve before. But what happened was the Triglavians took them over. And we had a NPC event around that. People fought the Triglavians. The Triglavians kind of came out of Drifters, the Jove, that whole mystery of all that.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not an expert on Triglavians. I care about their spaceships and stuff.
Basically.
Yeah, they're some kind of weird offshoot. They're weirdos. Their ships are weird. They use a whole different weapon system. They're scary, et cetera, et cetera. All that got settled down into the region we now call Pochvan. And it is, 13 systems, I think. I don't remember exactly, that now are Pochvan space. They're run and controlled by the Triglavian. Yeah, people who lived there got trapped into, if you lived in that one of those systems got taken over by the Triglavians and you came back 6 months later, you took a 6-month break, suddenly your system is now very dark and it's got evil music playing and the special effects are scary and it is a scary place to be. And so the whole thing changed. The gates changed. The gates are all triangles now, with red lights, and they're very spooky, and they have a whole different special effect thing with them. They're very cool.
I've seen mentions of those, like that triangle, but I've never been to a system. I guess, like, could you buy Curiosity or Mistake? Could you go into such a system, and what would happen if that?
I don't know the answer to that. I've never actually flown into Pochvan, so we use filaments to get there. I believe that's the only way, but I could be wrong. There might be wormholes into Pochvan. I also don't know the answer to that. Isn't that crazy? I just thought of that. So every time we've gone there or left there, we do it by filament. So there are Pochvan filaments.
Okay.
And those are exit and entry ones that you can get, and those will transport you to Pochvan.
And that's what you get to come out as well, I guess, right?
Yeah, you got to have an exit one too in order to leave.
An exit filament. Okay. And so that's because I'm curious to know what's in those systems. Are there?
It's a
special
whole different.
Is there?
Yes. Oh yeah, special rats, special NPCs, special events, special missions, special everything. And
you got me curious there.
Yeah, and here's the side of it too, though. So there were two sides to this war. There was an Edencom side, which I guess you would say is the human side, and then the Triglavians. So the Triglavians kind of, established their Pochvan thing, They still have excursions into regular space. So there will often be on a gate, say, somewhere in Lowsec or wherever in Nullsec, there will be Triglavian NPCs on that gate. And if you don't have standing with them, then they may shoot you.
Okay.
So part of our deal and why we started going there at the very beginning and it got established was to shoot
Increase
the
your standing.
NPCs and get some standings with Triglavians and
Yeah, that was
also
gonna
with
be-
Edencom. Yeah, so also with Edencom because that's also true of Edencom too. So if you don't have, they will often be on the gates and they'll be doing their thing. And if you don't have standings with them, you may get shot on the gate with those guys too.
Man, oh,
Crazy
man.
stuff.
Yeah, it gets I thought that with each episode I'd get smarter and
it just keeps digging deeper and deeper and deeper.
exactly. It's like, oh boy, I don't know this and what about that and this and that but
And there's different levels.
that's
There's
crazy.
different levels in Poshvin. Each system has its own security status, kind of how dangerous it is. There's different kinds of systems there. There's home systems and inner systems and border systems, and each one is slightly different. And the filaments will take you to the type of filament you use will be the one that takes you to one of those types of systems. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It does. It does. Now there's a short that I'd love you to create how you get there. Showing
How to get the Poshvin, yeah.
Yeah, hopping on a filament, or I don't know what you do. Is that like some sort of
Maybe a song, how to get the Poshvin.
Oh,
Sounds like a song, doesn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like a country western song, little twang. Yeah, filaments are fun. There's there's abyssal filaments, which take you to abyss space, which is a whole other thing you probably don't know anything about. There's a whole type of wormhole that exists in the abyss. Those are missions, and it is some crazy space down there, and people will jump in, use a filament to go there and run missions in the abyssal space. And it's since it's a new addition to the game, a few years now, I guess, the graphics there are insanely beautiful. Different kinds of space, different kinds of rocks and structures, and it's just crazy. And it's absolutely gorgeous. I used to go there just honestly to take pictures and screenshots of it because it's so beautiful. When you do that, when you go in there, when somebody goes in there, they will leave a trace in normal space that you can probe down. So the other day we were flying through and we saw an abyssal trace on scan, and I had somebody probe it down for us, and we took our ships and waited outside the abyssal trace, and sure enough, the guy came out of it and we blew him up.
Popped him. So a trace of them going into abyssal space.
Yeah. Using the filament leaves a trace that you can probe down in normal space, and then when they're done running their mission or whatever, they'll pop out of it and get a surprise sometimes. Hey, those guys! Oh no!
Stay frosty. Oh la la.
Yeah. Oh no!
So it's crazy how all of this doesn't seem to be as prevalent in terms of what's out there in the community, whether it's on YouTube or the blogs or even being discussed on Blue Sky and the other microblogs platform.
Yeah,
It doesn't.
The game is so deep. The game is so deep. One of the things that people are mad about is at one time, for a while, there were abyssal activities that were based on so like I could take a filament and I would be popped into an arena. So it was basically a big, like Roman Colosseum type thing in space. And depending on the type of filament that I chose, it might be me against one other guy who also shows up, or me against 6 of my friends against 6 other people who happen to show up. And those were like arena PvP conflicts in abyssal space. And you could just basically...
That's original.
Yeah, you could just pop a filament, pop into the arena, and start fighting people.
And you would know ahead of time before popping the filament that you would end up in such a place, though, right?
Well, we're talking about Eve players here. So
Yeah.
one of the problems became is that some very smart PvPers and typical Eve players over time really min-maxed the heck out of it. They kind of broke the code on not only how to win those matches consistently, but also to kind of jury rig the fact that they would arrive with friends of theirs and then they would work together against the strangers on the other side or whatever. So that idea kind of went away. CCP took it away and they haven't brought it back. And there are people who were very angry about that.
Yeah, because they probably didn't have the means or the answer to how to prevent players from doing that. Because that's one thing, right? When you're a
Yeah.
dev, you build a system and you expect people to follow a certain path, to do things a certain way. Whereas some players, there's a category of players that will basically poke everything and learn what happens when you do this, take that,
Yep.
and then build.
There's always that, especially in
ways.
Eve, and I love those players. I really do. I think it's amazing for them. Congratulations. You guys are figuring it out to the nth degree and taking advantage of a system. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that necessarily, as long as you're, abiding by the rules.
Yeah, and it keeps the devs on their toes.
It does. It does. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. As long as it's not, you don't turn it into an exploit, right? And then take advantage.
Absolutely.
And that's when the hammer will fall. But otherwise, I think it's perfectly fine. That's what rules are there for, right? We all want to try to find some advantage, that makes us out better. But yeah, sometimes that can go against, that could turn something good into something bad and then have it pulled away. But a lot of people like that. I admit I did it many times myself, and it was very, very enjoyable. You're a little bored, just pop a filament and see what you get.
Yeah. And I guess that's why these major updates after like an expansion will sort of do course correction, tweak things so that they don't get out of hands, and you don't end up with something where it's gone too far, and they have to pull the plug on that.
Well, we watch patches for things that impact us. Obviously, that's the priority. Each time a patch note comes out, I like to read through it, very carefully and see if there's anything in it that impacts my gameplay first. Like the first pass is, how does this affect me? And then the next pass is, how does that affect other people? And how does it affect their game? And then maybe there's something here that might benefit me or my corporation or my alliance. But
the way you play and
or the kinds of ships I fly. Like a few patches ago, maybe last year, there was a change to the way artillery worked, and the rupture got kind of a boost, or got buffed a little bit. And I made a video about how to take advantage of that, and how to fit a rupture. I was hoping to see more of those in space, but we really haven't. So, it's just some ships like that who weren't getting a lot of use. It's nice to see them get some attention every once in a while.
Yeah, absolutely. So then you'd recommend, if someone's getting serious about playing the game, reading those patch notes, there's value in that.
If you launch the launcher and you're getting ready to log in and you look over to the left and you see the word patch note, you should definitely click on that before you log in and see what they've changed.
So
because it might just impact you directly on what you were planning to do today.
Oh, you mean like flying Sanusis and
right. My entire game style is based on this ship they just ruined.
Yeah. I would have it would have been a warning.
Yes.
It wouldn't have changed anything, but it would have been a heads up, by the way.
Heads up, right. By the way, you're only going to get half of what you used to get inside that ship.
There you go. And it's going to be a lot slower to get into warp. But I think that's a good idea. And it also opens you up items that you have no knowledge of, so such as filaments and parchment and whatnot.
Well, it does, because if there's changes to something you've never heard of before, maybe you want to look into that. What is this thing? What did they just change? They changed something I've never heard of before.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't guess do they still do those what did they call them? Like economic reports, like it was a quarterly
Oh
report
yeah,
where it
they
talked
still
about
do
the
those. Yeah,
economy. They
yeah,
still
yeah,
do
yeah,
those?
yeah,
Yeah. So I guess
yeah.
that's
Those
not
are.
something that you would, as a pirate, as a
Oh
uh,
no, but as a
doesn't
player, I look at
influence
them
you as
every time. I always look at them. I like to see, where things are going, and because I do a lot of station trading, my alt does anyway. That's one of the ways I make ISK in the game. We have a loot collection system within Stay Frosty, and every so often I will collect all of that and then take it to market, and then that's one of the ways that we fund things.
Hmm. So I'm just trying to pen to work. So patch notes, gotta read those. You said the economic report. Gotta read those. So at least I've always got homework after you and I sit down
It does seem
to
to be that
record
way, doesn't
these.
it?
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, that's the fun of it. That's the beauty of it. And even stuff that you don't necessarily know, but we've talked about. I'll try to explore and learn from. And what did those ships, we called them, gate
Blockade
runners,
runners. Blockade
blockade runners?
runners.
Okay.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
the Pro Raider is the Amara one. I know for sure. It's Prorator.
PR.
Pro Rator.
That sounds like a
It's a weird looking
gladiator.
ship, but yeah, it looks like a little like one of those pill bugs when you pull up a rock and there's like these black shiny bugs that scurry away. That's what it looks like. It looks like a
Oh, I
pill
think I
bug.
know. And has it got like this like a spiky thing at the end of it? Like
Kind of a little bit on the sides. Yeah, it's not a.
nah.
Now maybe you're thinking of the Phantasm, those ships, but
Bro, okay. All my pens are
Pro
dead.
Rator.
Wow.
This is funny to me because I'm a pirate and pirate lord and CEO of Stay Frosty, and here we are on a podcast, and I'm talking about freighters and blockade runners. So the one subject I probably know the least about.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I just find it funny is all. It's just that's the way it goes, right?
Yeah, well, I guess it's what I'm curious about
Oh,
in a way.
sure. No,
And
it's great. It's great.
well,
It's also teaching me too because now I have to think about it, and then like, do I why don't I know more about this? I should.
well, here's a question for you then that will probably be a little bit more relatable to what you do. Are those the
Right.
kind of ships that you run into when you're doing your scouting for a good fight?
Sometimes.
No?
Pro Raiders, though, I mean, it's one of those ships. If we see it, I think a Valator is another one. That's the Glinty one. The Amar one is the Pro Raider. I can't remember what the Mimitar one is, but I'm just going to look it up here in a minute. But when I see those come out of a gate, we typically just don't even bother with them because I know that immediately they're going to cloak up and disappear. So they're very hard to catch
Okay.
without aid of a bubble.
Got it.
But in general, yes. Just yesterday, I undocked from the station with my ship, and some poor neutral player undocked in front of me with, gosh, what was it? Take a look here. It was a mammoth. He undocked in a mammoth. Poor guy warped to the high-sec gate. Immediately, of course, I did what I always do, is I also warped to the high-sec gate. Now, I can't jump in, and if he landed at 0, he would just jump in the high-sec. He'd be perfectly fine, but for whatever reason, he autopiloted. So he landed 10 kilometers away from the gate, which is just exactly what I wanted it to happen, and I blew him up.
Wow.
And I get a DM from him immediately afterwards, and I got called several names, and I said, "Look, young man," I said, "first of all,
Do you know what game you're playing?
yeah, do not autopilot in low sec. First of all, to never do that, and second of all, his fit was terrible. So I said, you also need to look at your fit, please." And I sent him some links. I did. I was nice. I sent him some links to some articles about how to fit a mammoth properly. And I said, please look at these and fit your mammoth properly and stop autopiloting in low sec.
Like, I don't even autopilot in high sec. Like, I don't waste.
Yeah, I'm going to blow you up because you made a mistake, but I am also going to really try to help you too, because this should not have happened.
And that's very, gentlemanly of you. You're a gentleman pirate, basically.
I try to help other players. I really do. I don't. If everybody was doing, if everybody was smart, I would get a lot less kills. That's for sure.
Yeah, but that's asking a lot.
It is. Thankfully, yes. Thankfully, it doesn't work that way. But
Yeah.
there would be a lot less apocalypses ratting in low sec belts. Mammoths using autopilot.
And it's funny though, some people get into the game, start playing the game, and when something like what you just described happens, they get upset. It's like,
Well,
haven't you
that poor
heard of
kid.
the game?
He's probably gotten away with it like 15, 20 times in a row. He thought this was perfectly fine. He's probably gotten away with it. Nobody's caught him. He's been doing this for 6 months. He's been autopiloting the low sec gates, and it's all been great. It's worked out for him. And then this one time, it's like, oh no, what?
I guess he learned his lesson the hard way, but then he got, some pro tips from the gentleman.
Hopefully he learns and
pirate.
doesn't do it again. I ran into a pilot the other day, and I won't mention any names, but he's really good now. He's one of those PvP pilots. When we see him in local, we give him respect. If I'm in a fleet, we all talk about like, hey, that guy is really good at this certain thing he likes to do. And we ran into him on Saturday in the fleet, and I told everybody, I said, 6 years ago, he was terrible. I was blowing him up all the time. Like he would lose every single time. And every time I blew him up, he would ask me, what did I do wrong? And what can I do better? And I would try to tell him. And now he's one of the best ones, so he's really good. He's stuck in there. I love that.
If you stick, exactly. And that's the thing. That's the difference, right? I mean, he learned from his mistakes over time and he got better at it, and invest a bit of time to learn how to play the game, how to roll with it, how to take the punches and just get back up, how to not put everything into a ship and fly a ship that you can't afford to lose with content that you can't afford to lose. All basic basic stuff from that we've learned and that have existed from way back when, right? From the moment the servers came up.
Yeah, don't lose faith. Just keep going. Learn, ask questions, find somebody who will teach you, whether it's watching videos or reading blogs or whatever it takes, or joining a corporation and asking a lot of questions. Eve Uni, yeah. Brave Newbies,
fantastic
exactly.
corp that organizes events based on some of the activity that you want to do, and they tell you what not to do, how best to do this and that. So that's one fantastic way of doing it, and you can sort of do that. Like currently, my main is part of Eve Uni, but I'm still mostly playing solo. And then I'll jump into activities here and there whenever I can. And then those help channels from Eve Uni are fantastic. So definitely, that's a great way of doing it. Or when you get your ship gets destroyed or you get potted by someone in a PvP context, sometimes they're not, they're just playing the game, and it's nothing against you. It's, as you say, as you've said many times, it's just pixels, right? It is pixels, and times and a bit of fun.
We're all out doing something, and every once in a while we cross paths. That's where conflict comes from, right? And but I'm out doing what I do and you're out doing what you do, and most of the time we don't run into each other, but every once in a while our paths cross. And that's just happenstance or circumstance or whatever, or crazy luck. But that's the way it goes, and then we have to resolve that conflict.
Exactly.
And either I'm going to die, or you are, or we're going to go our separate ways. Whatever.
Exactly. So, speaking of going our separate ways, I think we need to wrap this one up. So I've got my homework, and I promise to come up with questions on content that is much closer to your heart, much closer to
it's fine. I
the
like
knowledge
this.
that you have.
Yeah.
Because who knows, maybe I'm going to cross path with other pirates, and then I'm gonna pop into the next show and go, can you tell me what happened here? Here's the situation. Here's what I did. Here's how it ended. Not well for me. And so I might have those questions in the future. But as always, it's been a pleasure, sir. Always learning from you and touching on topics and subjects within the game. That
I think it's awesome. I love it. I love the conversation. It goes by so fast. And
it's crazy.
We talked about a lot of crazy stuff, and I think hopefully gave some good advice and told some interesting stories along the way. And I think that's really, what this is all about, right? This is why we got together. We don't always see eye to eye or know the same things, and I think that's really great.
Oh, we definitely don't know the same things. That's for sure, and that's why we do this, because I think those discussions, these topics come up, and we both learn from it, and hopefully our listeners out there do the same. So thank you again, Rixx, for this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you, and good night, everyone. And again, thank you for listening to The Safe Spot. It's available on YouTube and on Spotify. If you go to the YouTube channel, the descriptions, there will be links to my blog, to Crazy's blog, and to the Spotify account, and other useful information based on what the episode topics were. I'm going to try to include more links to more topic discussions on blogs in the coming episodes, and we appreciate each of you. So thank you, and fly safe.
Fly safe, and see you next time.
Whoa, 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 whoa. They said form up. I brought my gear. Still don't know what I'm doing here. Brand new guns, safety on green. FC sounds calm. I'm 17. Whole cloak, okay, I won't move. Is this camping? I'm in the groove. When do we start to sing? Locals quiet, what's a ping? I'm just happy to be on the team. Now I'm just sitting here, the Stargate is very near. Gosh, it's big! We're gate camping, the stars hum low, engine still. Whoa, whoa, we're gate camping. Don't know who, but someone will point, shoot. No, wait, was that my cue? Too late! We're gate camping. Did the FC say jump? Bubbles up like space balloons. They said don't move, I almost fired my gun. Something jumped, was that the one? They said hold, don't break the lock. Yellow boxes, red alert. Did someone just make a joke? Did I just lock the wrong guy? Someone laughed as my ship broke. Comes go quiet, you can hear my buddy's cat. His name's Wyatt. We're gate camping, time stands still. We're gate camping, whoa, whoa, whoa. We're gate camping, everyone knows stuff I don't. Primary called, screens ignite. I missed the kill, but that's alright. We're gate camping, something went boom in the night. Whoa, 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 whoa. Camping's not what I thought it'd be. Less sleeping bags and tents and more intense. That's a joke, you see. Pause. We're gate camping, same spot, same empty sky. Whoa, 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 we're gate camping, and I didn't die. Corp mates laugh, FC says good. I'd camp here forever if I could. We're gate camping, turns out this was fun. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We're gate camping, stars hum low, engine still. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We're gate camping, don't know who, but someone will point, shoot. No, wait, was that my cue? Too late! Did the FC say jump? Go gate camping. Leave your sleeping bag in the station.